We always have a blast chatting with our guests about all sorts of different topics, but sometimes we go off the rails and dig deeper into their automotive and motorsports pasts. As a bonus, let's go behind the scenes with this pit stop minisode for some extra content that didn't quite fit in the main episode. Sit back, enjoy, and remember to like, subscribe, and support Break Fix on Patreon.
Yeah, right.
You want to hear one last one? A completely off the wall British car story.
Go for it.
Yeah. You got time?
Sure.
Brad, you're right. This is absolutely true. Pieces of which I really do have to cut out because I can't tell you. So I do a lot of work with unmanned aircraft systems, especially along edges of the country. Yeah. Well, in this particular case, I happened to be in one of our southwestern states, and I was inside a ground control station. And we're watching the video from one of these unmanned aircraft, and it's flying up and down the edge of the country. And as we're watching it, there are all sorts of things going on. There are various people moving mostly south to north. And then towards the end of the day, and I'm watching this because my job was sense and avoid of unmanned airplanes in the national airspace, which gets very complicated. So I talked to the ground control station operator. I said, hey, can we see a little bit of this part of the world that we're in Southern California? And he said, sure. So he brings the aircraft around. Now, this aircraft is probably 150 miles from where I'm sitting in the ground control station. And the aircraft banks around. It's quite a big aircraft, and it flies reasonably high. And the aircraft has got this payload ball underneath it. And he said, do you want to have to go, Mr. Wade? I said, sure. So I sit in the payload operator seat, and I'm playing with the ball. And being an Apache guy, I'm quite used to, odd-looking sensors on top of airplanes. And we start panning around, and I look at a road that runs down the desert through a part of the country called the Antelope Valley near Lancaster, California. And going down, and it's without a word of a lie, going down this road right along the southern border, or very close to it, near the San Gabriel Mountains, is a row of 4 vehicles, all of which have 2 tubes to 3 tubes sitting at this angle on the back of the vehicle.
Huh.
These are not things you see commonly in the civilian world. And by this time, I've got these eyes looking at the screen. And one of the guys says, Mr. Wade, do you recognize those? And I went, I might, since I chased crap like that up and down the Iraqi border for a little while. I said, can you get me a better picture? He said, stand up. So I got out of the way, the real payload operator gets in, and he brings the airplane over the top of the road. It turns out that we were looking at this road from about 25 miles away. And you could see these things going down the road, a row of them, with these tubes on the back. So he banks the airplane around, he brings it much closer. It's taking a little while, they're not very fast. And I'm watching. I said, can you bring it a bit lower? And he says, yeah. He brings it down. I won't tell you what he brought it down to, but it was not that high by this time. Still out of visual range of the ground. And I'm looking at it, and I said, what's going on here this weekend? And they all sort of ummed and ahed, because I recognized what the hell these things were. And as he zoomed in, and we can go to color, I'm like, check that out. And the entire ground control station erupted in laughter. What was going on that weekend was a race at Sonoma. And what those cars were mini pickup trucks with giant Red Bull cans on the back.
Oh.
And they were minis with Red Bull cans on the back.
That's awesome.
Absolutely hilarious. We were about ready to blow those little bastards off the road, let me tell you. Absolutely true story. And I can't really embellish much of that one because I can't tell you how it all happened, but it was absolutely fascinating. And then when you zoom in on these things and it says Red Bull, you're probably all right.
Nice.
There's your ultimate mini story.
There you go.
If you like what you've heard and want to learn more about GTM, be sure to check us out on www.gtmotorsports.org. You can also find us on Instagram at Grand Touring Motorsports. Also, if you want to get involved or have suggestions for future shows, you can call or text us at 202-630-1770 or send us an email at crewchief@gtmotorsports.org. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey everybody, Crew Chief Eric here. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Break Fix, and we wanted to remind you that GTM remains a no annual fees organization, and our goal is to continue to bring you quality episodes like this one at no charge. As a loyal listener, please consider subscribing to our Patreon for bonus and behind-the-scenes content, extra goodies, and GTM swag. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can keep our developers, writers, editors, casters, and other volunteers fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, gummy bears, and Monster. Consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without fans, supporters, and members like you, none of this would be possible.